Hey yo, what is up my fellow Descendants? In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to farm Ultimate Lepic in the most efficient manner possible, as well as the fastest farm locations for the rare materials needed to craft this cutie. Without further ado, let's get after it. We are going to start with the enhanced cells, make our way to the stabilizer, the spiral catalyst, and then finally the code. So we'll go through each different material needed and I'll show you how I farm it or where you can at least get these materials from. First up for the cells are the semi-permanent plasma. These are a destination resource, meaning they are found in munition and resource boxes across a designated area. So semi-permanent plasma is found in the Vespers region. I go specifically here because you spawn in and there's just a trail of munition boxes as you make your way down the cliff side. Go here, run this really quick. You can tab with your Eceive. If you use that, it's going to detect these item caches, these munition boxes. Keep an eye out for the resource boxes so you can really maximize this farm and spend as little time as possible getting these destination resources so you can move on and actually get your character. So you get the idea there. Moving on. Next up we have Flectorite. This can be found in the White Knight Gulch. I like searching in Moongrave Basin because there aren't any enemies around in this area, and occasionally I will find the cache vaults and open those. I love getting the materials and extra Kuiper, even though I don't really need it now. If you don't like this, or if you want a different farm, you can move to any location within White Knight Gulch, as they can be found anywhere within the destination. So Flectorite is your goal. You can stack doing other missions or operations around. I just like coming here because it's quick and painless. There's nothing around to bug me. The divided plasma battery is the rare material. Each one of these runs is going to take just under a minute. So I have tested all of the areas that these drop at, and this is by far the quickest way to get the battery. Select a normal operation and navigate to the asylum in Agna Desert. Once you go through all of these hallways, you'll get to that big room, clear out the ads as they spawn in, and then once you get to the end of that room, an elite spawns on top of this rock here in the middle. Unalive it, grab his batteries, and reload the mission. Time for the enhanced cells. What I like to do is look at the amorphous pattern that drops the piece I'm looking for and either choose the pattern that has the highest drop for the specific piece or the most blueprints that I still want or need. But for the sake of this video, we are going for the highest drop rate for Lepic. Now that we've determined pattern 74 has the highest drop, we just inspect the acquisition info. I still like to look between the two, but 77 will take forever. 74 is just an outpost, so you will need Sharon to farm this. So we just go in. I will run an outpost so you can see the easiest way to run this specific outpost for Lepic's piece. So let's switch over to Sharon. I really hope you already have her. She's amazing, but we'll focus on Lepic here. Fortunately, there's already somebody here doing it, so it always helps when you go in public and there's someone there to share the load or help you out. But in this case, I didn't even need to do the outpost. I just spawned in and boom. Okay, so once you've farmed a handful of patterns, see where to open them by going to your access info menu, amorphous patterns, and navigate to the pattern you're trying to open. From here, you can select linked reconstructed device info, which will then show where you can open the pattern at. In this case, it is the Vespers Moonlight Lake Void Reactor, meaning we will need to farm some void fragments. Hover your cursor over the reactor in order to see the fragments needed, and just beneath the fragments, you can verify the patterns you can open at that reactor to make sure you are farming the correct fragments and not wasting any time. For the Moonlight Lake Reactor, we need organic and polymer void shards. Polymer shards are often found within chill or fire void fragment missions, and I recommend always checking to make sure, as there are a few that have different types of drops. So I chose Viessa because she's my starter. If you have Lepic, there are a few here on the Vespers map that you can choose from for polymer and organic fragments, but we'll get to organic in a moment. So I go to Fortress with Viessa because it yields slightly higher XP for weapon proficiency and is quick and compact as far as the monster spawns. So that is the route we will take for this video. Run these missions until you have sufficient fragments to open your patterns. That's what one run looks like. Typically you'll have several VSAs running for the Polymer Shards. Again, if you don't have VSA, what we can do is head back to the Vespers. This Fire Void Fragment mission has Polymer Shards, and often you'll see people there. It's close to an outpost, so you can juggle between the two, so you're not really wasting time. For organic shards, I like farming the organic shards at Vermilion Wastes and Agnet Desert because the enemies have really tight spawns and it's quick, and often you will have multiple bunnies here, making it a breeze for players at any level, so I highly recommend going here to get your organic shards. Each run ideally should take about 45 to 60 seconds, which makes it extremely efficient. Congratulations, you've now farmed enough polymer and organic shards. So it's time to finally open your pattern at the Vespers Moonlight Lake Void Reactor! This reactor boss is annoying because of the ball phase, but is no problem since the reactor boss has been nerfed. Thank you, Nexon. So let's go through, let's clear this guy out, see what you're up against. I'll give you a hint. It ain't shit, and then let's see if we get some cells. Moment of truth. Rub the stabilizer. Yeah! Congratulations! You've now earned your very first piece of Ultimate Lepic. Let's move on and see what it takes for the rest of the pieces. Monad Shards. For Monad Shards, we are going to head over to the Fallen Theater in Kingston, where monads are plenty. While we are grabbing munition and resource boxes, we can also swoop on by the outpost for low carbon activators, since this is the only place you can get these materials and they are used for energy activators. I definitely recommend making the time to go by the outpost to clear it to get the low carbon activators. There are literally so many munition boxes here, I can't even decide where to go. Farm these out in this area, keep hitting the outpost, and then let's look at the next material. Now that your pockets are just brimming with Monad Shards, let's go get some Shape Memory Alloys. Shape Memory Alloy is a destination material that can be found on Hygos. The resource and munition boxes here seem to be less abundant, but don't worry, the amounts dropped are much higher. So the two places I chose to go are the Corrupted Zone and the Forward Base areas. They have small concentrations of these boxes, so typically what you're going to have to do is just run that short route, grab all the boxes, and then go to the other area, whichever one you weren't just at. Keep juggling those, you'll have your memory alloy in no time. Last but not least, we have the rare material for Lepic Stabilizer. This is the Crystal Biogel, which is really easy to get. I recommend using Sharon, although it's not necessary, so you can pick up some additional patterns while you farm this out. Crystal Biogel only drops in small stacks, but it does drop from any outpost elite in the White Knight Gulch. I chose the hatchery, but you can choose any in the White Knight Gulch that you'd rather get the patterns from. Outpost completed, patterns and gel baby, rinse and repeat until you've gotten a sufficient amount needed for Lepic Stabilizer. There are really only two choices, either fight the Executioner or fight the Obstructor, same boss. The normal Void Fusion Reactor will never yield higher than 6% for any Ultimate Descendant, and in this case it's 3%, so that will be the biggest waste of time and resources. Don't do it. Pattern 59 can be opened at Executioner, which everyone has access to, and the mission is much easier. The only reason you would choose Pattern 105 is if you are interested in another blueprint on it and Obstructor is easy for you or your team. Let's make it as easy and quick as possible, and we are going to go with Pattern 59, running Slumber Valley in Kingston on hard. Head to the Infiltration Operations Terminal in Albion. Do not go to the mission from the world map. The patterns earned by default will not be the correct pattern. On the top right of the mission menu, select Change. Here, you can select Pattern 59, the correct pattern. You can add modifiers to increase your chance at getting multiple patterns per run. Go in, slap Greg around, and in about 8 minutes you'll have gotten 1 or 2 pattern 59s. Slumber Valley is also the best place to get insulated metallic foil, so 10 out of 10, run this mission. Now that you've farmed a fat stack of Amorphous 59, it's time to crack these bad boys. Remember how to check where you can open a pattern? You're right, it's the Access Info tab, and it looks like we have to confront that big meanie the Executioner. And now, for the pure disappointment we Descendants live for. Yay! Now that we have the cells and the stabilizer, it's time for the third piece, and it's smooth sailing from here, my Descenders. The first material needed is the metal accelerant. This is found at the Sterile Lands, and lucky for you, I have just the route. You'll be done in no time. Rinse, repeat, done. Nanopolymers are an Agna Desert destination material. There are tons of munitions and resource caches. I'll show you where a group of them are at in 2 different spawn locations. So first up, Mirage Stone. Second, Vermilion Waste. When you spawn into Mirage Stone, use your Sieve, and there should be several immediately nearby. Grab these and then move to Vermilion Waste. From there, tap your Sieve again, head to the right from spawn, and there's a hole in the ground that typically has about 4 to 5 munition barrels. There's also a cave on the bottom left area. If you open up your map, it's that little chunk hanging out. I didn't include that, but you can run out there to get another 5 munition boxes, and potentially another cache is there. But you don't necessarily need to. You can typically just juggle between the 2 areas to farm out the nanopolymers. You've practically farmed Ultimate Lepic at this point. The final rare material needed, data processing neural circuits. The fastest farm for these is at the Vespers Moonlight Lake in the mission Lakeside. You get only a single drop at the end every 1 minute and about 50 seconds. Start the mission, then run circles around this rock, grab the bomb and blow up C, run circles around this other rock, use bomb to blow up A, run back and forth on the shore, bomb, then follow the waypoint to the middle where an elite will spawn and drop the neural circuits. Rinse and repeat until complete. And now for the Spiral Catalyst, we are going for pattern 85. To get this, you'll run Seed Vault and Echo Swamp on hard, as this is much faster than the alternatives, and there's a good amount of complex carbon activators that drop here. I won't go into why, but you will want these. Same deal as Slumber Valley. You gotta change at that mission start menu. You can choose to run this public or with modifiers, but once you have a fatty stack of patterns, or even if you want to open them one at a time, head over to the Pyromaniac on hard and explain why you need him to delete himself. Once he happily does so for you, you'll eventually open a pattern that contains Ultimate Lepic's Spiral Catalyst. Look at you. You've made it all this way. All your hard work comes down to this final piece, the Lepic code, within pattern 61 at Rockfall in Sterile Lands. Bring out your Sharon and run this outpost until you have a rack of pattern 91s. Once you're ready to go, you'll be able to open these at the Void Reactor that's just parallel to the outpost. This Void Reactor requires Monomer Shards and Polymer Shards. You can return to where you farmed Polymer Shards for Lepic cells, or hopefully you still have some left over. As far as the Monomer Shards, you can take Bunny and head to the infamous Bunny Cave. I recommend going there since it's always filled with desperate XP farmers and the extra help at this point is so appreciated. I highlighted a few others you can get Polymer Shards from if you don't want to head to the cave, but once you've farmed enough Void Shards, make your way to the Rockfall Void Reactor and claim your prize. If you made it to the end of this video, you are a legend. Thank you so much for watching. If you found it helpful or informative, definitely throw your brother a like and a subscription. There's a Discord that's pretty new. You can hop in, hang out, find LFGs, whatever. I spent way too long making this video, so I really do hope that you find it helpful and it did speed up your farm and got you ultimate Lepic. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, but otherwise, until then, take care. I love you. See you around, my fellow Descendants.